Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you've been well. For those of you who don't know, that is the intro monologue of the guy who created this. So this is my last line of defense appendix inside the waistband holster. I've gotten so many questions about this holster since I did the original video that I thought I'm going to do another one where I'm going to literally tear this thing down to pieces and go into extreme depth about why I think it's probably the best holster I own, and that's saying a lot because I own quite a few holsters. So let's have a look at that, but first, intro sequence with gun noises. Okay guys, before we go on, I just want to show you guys my firearm is empty and safe, and so are the two mags that I'm going to be using. As you know, I review my holsters with the mags in the firearm. Now, I did cover concealment in my previous video. I think it was like the second video I did. So we'll splice a piece of that in so I can show it off to you. I do apologize for the image quality. Those were early days. But concealment isn't the problem. Concealment on this particular holster is probably the best I get of any holster that I've got. So don't stress about that. I'm not going to recover that piece. What I do want to talk about is comfortability. So I get a lot of questions about comfortability surrounding appendix carry holsters, especially when it comes to bigger guys. What they say effectively is that the holster presses up against their stomach and it's uncomfortable. So I'm going to sort of slice in some images. I tried to get some images of my dad, who's a bit of a big guy, and a friend of mine who's also who's a bit bigger than me. He's sort of like medium, normal, average build. I'm a bit thin-ish, I think. And as you can see from that footage, you know, the holster is comfortable for them. The guy, so my buddy whose images you're seeing now, actually ordered one of these as soon as he tried my one. He also carries in the appendix position and he's in love with this holster. It's the most comfortable holster he says he's had on. My firearm was emptied and safe during that footage. So you can carry in the appendix position if you are a bigger guy, if you've got the right holster. Now, what I mean by the right holster is it's got to have a certain amount of characteristics that all work together to form the sort of the perfect holster, if you ask me. So one of those main characteristics, and I did briefly mention this in my initial video, the link should be popping up in your screen somewhere, is the economy of materials used. I see a lot of holsters where there is the sort of the opening for the firearm and the opening for the mag, and they've got this whole little extra bit of kydex all around it. Now, the problem there is if you're a bigger guy, what happens is as you sit down, and I think people aren't realizing this, as you sit down, your legs press up against the bottom of that little extra bit of kydex, which pushes back the holster back into your tummy, and that's what makes it one of the main factors as to why it makes it so uncomfortable. It's a combination of factors that works together to produce this problem where bigger guys can't carry in the appendix position. So what this holster has, it's got, as you can see, almost like a V shape going to it. And what that means is when you slide it down the middle, the directly center of your pants, your legs can move up and down without any issue. I will show you images of that, or images of it might be popping up on your screen right now. I'm not sure how I'm going to edit this, so just work with me. But your legs can move up and down without any issue because there's nothing for the inside of your thighs, if you will, to catch on. And when it catches, it pushes the holster up and into your stomach, and that's where you get a lot of that uncomfortability from. That's one of the main factors of uncomfortability for bigger guys. Another factor is the curvature of the holster. So let me just remove everything for you. I've shown this like 3 or 4 times on my channel. This holster is incredibly curved. As you can see, if I parallel the mag opening to the ground, you can see how much of a downward angle that produces. Now, there are guys who are producing holsters that are bendable, which is fine. It's a way of doing things, but you have to remember, if your holster is bendable, what that means is your pants and your belt are responsible for curving that holster. So what you're going to have to do is tie your pants and belt quite tight in order to get that maximum curve and that maximum concealment. So with a curved piece of kydex, the kydex itself is doing the job of having to over tighten your belt and having to over tighten your pants. As I said in one of my previous videos where I covered concealment, link should be popping up somewhere. A big factor in concealment is not over tightening your belt. When you over tighten your belt, it causes that mushroom effect with the skin around your midsection, and that skin actually pushes against the holster, which then pushes the holster outwards, which is counterproductive. So having a holster that is pre-curved is a big plus. How much to curve it, that's going to have to be up to the holster manufacturer. I'm not a holster manufacturer, so I don't know how much curve you should put in a holster. I just know this seems to be like the golden curvature angle. I don't know what this angle is. If you are a holster manufacturer, try to get that angle. So another thing that is quite important is clip size. People seem to think this doesn't matter, and it's not going to be the be all and end all of whether your holster works, but I just want to show you something. So this is a 1.5 inch clip, and I carry a 1.5 inch belt. This is actually a sniper gear belt. They sent this to me recently. I'm testing it, but I do quite enjoy it. So when I slide this belt on, there's no play. The clip and the belt are cinched so tightly, there's maybe, I'd say, 2 millimeters of spare space, but that's taken up by this little knob on the end of the clip. I'll see if I can put some close-ups of that. Now, what that means is when I sit down, stand up, move around, I don't necessarily need that extra clip because the one clip sits so tightly that there's no movement for it. And what people are forgetting is this is another holster with a 1.75 inch clip. And if I slide this on, look at the amount of play in this. So what happens is you sit down, so the holster's cinched down, you sit down and it presses up against your legs and it pushes the holster up a little. And if you ever had that situation where your firearm is perfectly concealed, everything is good, you sit down for a while, you get up and all of a sudden something's poking out to the side and you're wondering, well, how did that all of a sudden happen? And you try to adjust your t-shirt. That's because as you sit down, the holster moves up and you wiggle about a bit, and because there's space and play, that wiggle moves the holster half a centimeter kind of thing, and you get up again and it's like, oh, well, this isn't sitting exactly how I had it. It's not a deal breaker, but try to get a clip that is the right size for your belt. So guys, that is comfortability and concealment covered. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is retention. And have a look at this quickly. So when I remove the firearm, okay, when I'm sliding my firearm into the holster, there's nothing, no friction, no friction, no friction, no friction, and now there's a little bit of friction, and the very next centimeter or half a centimeter, it clicks into its little retention hub. Same thing with the mag, very little, very little, very little, very little, and it clicks in, okay? No matter how much I tighten this holster, now the tightening screws, there's one over here for the firearm and another one over there for the magazine. I'll see if I can chuck some close-ups up for you. No matter how much I tighten these screws, that doesn't change. Nothing clicks into place. And then tight, loose, and then it slides out quite easily. You can actually sort of see this. And then it clicks in. What that means for me is when I go for my draw, as soon as I remove it from the retention point, it's a smooth, clean, uninhibited draw. Very small difference to your draw stroke, but it does make a difference. Nothing, and click. So that just basically means that when you reholster and you unholster, especially when you unholster, when you're practicing your draw strokes, there's only going to be one sort of pulling point where it removes from the retention hub, and then it's a clean, smooth draw. Retention, very simple to adjust. One screw there, there. Just tighten it or loosen it and you are effectively good to go. Okay guys, that is retention, comfortability and concealment covered. Lastly, personal adjustments and that sort of thing. Before I get to that, I just want to say, kind of have a look at how cool this holster looks. I know form isn't very important in the firearm business, but remember guys, if you are a holster manufacturer, it is a business you're running, and a lot of these things are fairly similar. So how cool your holster looks, you know, it can make a difference in a sale. I particularly like being able to pick like crazy colors and things like that. That's just my personality. Black and FDE, I mean, it's cool, but you see it everywhere. I like the different options of carbon fiber and neon orange, that kind of thing. It's just fun. It's mine. I'm going to have to look at it for a very long time. So having different options in terms of styling your holster, that sounds really weird to say, but I guess it is what I mean. It can affect sales, definitely. So have a look into that. Try to get different colors of kydex. Give people options. You know, if you buy a pair of tackies, yes, it's only designed to go on your feet, but there's 750 million different color variations of that. The people who are making tackies know a bit about business, and they know people who are individuals. They want to individualize their kit. So that is one thing. And then the other thing, as I mentioned before, special features are things like I can charge my Olight PL Mini while it's still in the holster. That's super cool. I charge my light, I'd say like once every 2 months, but it is nicer when I do charge it. I don't have to take it off the firearm. I can just stick it in the charging port, and I don't have to remove the firearm from the holster, so it is still safe. Guys, if you are going to use this technique, please make sure that your firearm is in a safe place when it's charging, and that everyone is aware of the no-go zone of where your firearm is. Please safety and clear it as well. Things like that do make a difference. The built-in claw, let me just remove that. The built-in claw that you've got here, as opposed to the claw that usually sticks out the side and just creates like this extra bit of bulk. This has a molded piece of claw in there. I will try to get more close-ups of this. So things like that, special features. Take a risk with your holsters. If everybody created everything the same, options like this would never exist. So try to have some fun with your design, and I guarantee you more people are going to sort of pay more attention to your holsters and your designs. I'm beginning to think this has become like a business seminar, but it is what it is. Guys, that is pretty much it for the last line of defense appendix inside the waistband holster. This is for a Glock 19 with the OLED PL Mini. I don't have any hookups for this kind of thing. The guy who makes it has his own channel called Last Line of Defense. I will link it below. He's out in Denver, Colorado. You're gonna have to go to his site and order and try to get into the country just like I did. I've been trying to figure out a way to do this, but it's incredibly difficult. So far, I'm pretty confident I'm the only one in South Africa who has this. I paid like $140, which was like 1,600 Rand back when I bought it. I am getting one more in for a buddy of mine, so there'll be 2 people in the country who have it. Super cool holster, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I will speak to you guys soon. Next month is belt review month, a whole month of belt reviews. So I hope you guys enjoy that. I'll speak to you guys soon. Have a good week. Cheers. God bless.